I get a feeling it's going to be a riot.
I don't read the newspapers because they all have ugly friends.
At the starting of the week, at so many talks you hear them speak. It's only Monday. Negotiations breaking down. See the leaders start to frown. It's sword and Monday.
We are back with another edition of your favorite morning show, The Daily Dose on the Gorilla Radio Network.
We'll be sitting, taking lunch. The news will hit you like a punch. It's only Tuesday.
What's happening?
Ask your doctor if the Daily Dose is right for you. Common side effects include sarcasm, informed opinions, and wondering how the hell these people got elected. The Daily Dose starts now.
What's happening?
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I am back. Busy last couple days for me, and I wasn't able to do the show. I apologize. But I am back, and I am back with the fury, as I am every day. So, welcome to the Gorilla Radio Network. You are listening to your morning show, The Daily Dose. I am your host, Eric, and I'll be guiding you through the next 25 to 30 minutes on a tour of what's been happening in the world these last few days. Some of these stories that I go over today may have already been touched on by previous news outlets because I haven't done a broadcast in 2 days, and usually I like to stay abreast, one would say, of current events, and I like to deliver them to you in real time as they happen, but unfortunately I have not been able to because my schedule was a bit conflicted over the last 2 days. But nonetheless, I am back today, and I am here to deliver the stories to you with the fury as I do every Monday through Friday on your Daily Dose. It's August 13th. It's 8:25 in the morning. Hopefully everyone's had a good couple of days. I know I have, as I usually always do. Feeling good about my performance at work the last couple of days. And here I am today, back, ready to go. Now, we've got some fun stuff to cover today. We've got some stupid stuff, some really stupid stuff. And we got some unfortunately serious stuff because we do have to touch on the serious topics every now and again. But hopefully the good stuff and the stupid stuff outweighs the bad stuff on today's edition of the Daily Dose. So without further delay, let's go ahead and get into Tampa Bay's local weather. Coming to you from the Fox 13 studios, Dave Osterberg with your updated daily weather report.
Mid to upper 70s inland for you folks this morning. Some 80s kind of hanging around along the coast from Tampa to St. Pete all the way down through Sarasota. So statewide, I got the mid 80s for Key West. We got some lower 70s, really not bad, from Tallahassee all the way over to Jacksonville. Jacksonville at 72 this morning. Notice the 80s though from Wichita all the way down to Houston, over to New Orleans and Little Rock, and much of the South, including much of our state, under a heat advisory again. I'm going to show you that in just a second. High pressure almost in the exact same place as yesterday. We got surface high. You get an upper high. Not only that, in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, we've got dry air. There's multiple things working against rain, and that's why we haven't had rain in Tampa in about a week or so. I know it seems like it's been raining forever, but it hasn't rained in the last week or so technically at the airport. Here's that drier air I was telling you about. And some of that drier air is going to get pulled down to the ground today. And as that happens, it may lower the dew points a little bit. And I tell that to you because the next map I'm going to show you, you've got a heat advisory for almost the entire South. You've got an extreme heat warning for Panama City, but yet Tampa doesn't. Okay, and that's because our heat index is going to be right around that level, 105 or so. If it was going to be a couple degrees more than that, we'd be under the heat advisory. So it's a marginal thing, but listen, folks, 104, 107, 105, all feels the same to me at the end of the day. So just a few storms around this afternoon. Our rain chances will be around 20% to cool a few of us off. Crystal ball's about done. It will be done in the next 12 to 18 hours. Then you've got these two disturbances, which we're keeping a real close eye on, and both of them have the potential to develop. Okay, but they also both have to encounter wind shear and Saharan dust. This first wave, as it goes through the islands, you see that little yellow pixel there on our Fox model? That's an equivalent of maybe a 60-mile-per-hour wind. But one thing I'm noticing, it's not a low pressure system. It's not a closed low. So it's a big open wave, just rainy and windy, moving through the islands. That'll be fine for them. They can handle that. The second one behind it, it's like a little bowling ball low. So this one will have the potential to be a little bit stronger as it works its way toward the islands. But notice how as it gets closer to the islands, it also starts to gain latitude and starts to move north as well. So that may potentially not be a problem for the islands as well. We'll keep an eye on both of those for you. Right now, they're just waves, though. So 93 degrees for you this afternoon, heat index of 103, and then we just carry it out right through the weekend. Notice these rain chances, 20 to 40%, all below normal, and highs a couple degrees above normal.
Not bad, not bad. I'm happy to hear that the heat index is only 103 degrees down here in Florida today. So that's good. We've got that going for us. Thank you, Dave Osterberg. That is your Tampa Bay area local weather forecast for the next couple of days. A couple of storms down there, it looks like, coming sort of our direction, but no immediate threat, no cause for alarm or reason to panic as of now. So we will see what happens with these storms as the week progresses. Now, let's get into the show. What do you say? Once we're done with the weather and all that stuff, I like to get into some reporting. So let's go ahead and talk about a few things. Now, this guy, I don't know if you remember, you didn't have to live in Florida to know who this guy was because he was all over the news. He was running for the governor of the great state of Florida against Ron DeSantis 7 years ago, I believe it was. Andrew Gillum. And when he lost the election, he went on a downward spiral, apparently. Now, it's uncertain as to whether he was partaking in this lifestyle prior to him running as the governor of Florida, or if he went on a spiral and it started as after he lost the election. I don't know. No, I don't think anyone knows. But unfortunately for Mr. Gillum, the Democratic nominee for the governor of the great state of Florida, has a bit of a hard time trying to keep his nose clean as of lately. He had a little run with the police and some methamphetamines and maybe a couple of male hookers a few years ago. And now there's no male hookers involved this time, but there's definitely some methamphetamines involved. Yet again, Andrew Gillum, back in the news. He's been arrested 2 times in the past 2 weeks. And this is the latest on the Andrew Gillum saga.
Andrew Gillum rose to national prominence as the Democratic nominee for governor of Florida in 2018, narrowly losing to Ron DeSantis. Before that, he served as mayor of Tallahassee and was considered a rising star in the Democratic Party. On July 2nd, 2026, a routine traffic stop in Daphne is putting the national political figure back in the headlines. According to Daphne Police Chief Brian Goldsby, just before 11 p.m., an officer pulled Gillum over for allegedly driving erratically on Highway 98, clocking him driving 60 miles per hour in a 45.
He makes contact with the driver, and a backup officer approaches on the other side, and he could see a glass pipe on the console of the vehicle.
Chief Goldsby says the pipe found is commonly used to smoke illegal drugs. Gillum was removed from his vehicle while officers searched it.
So they removed him from the vehicle and conducted a vehicle search and found, I think, 2 more pipes and several marijuana cigarettes and 3 packages of what they tested turned out to be methamphetamine.
According to Chief Goldsby, the suspected methamphetamine was a personal use amount. Gillum was arrested and booked into the Daphne City Jail and later taken to the Baldwin County Jail, charged with possession.
How about that? Wow. Not a good look for Andrew. You know what I mean? This guy, like I said, he was well, they said it in that report too. I mean, this guy was the next best thing for the Democratic Party during his running against our current governor, Ron DeSantis. And he just can't, like I said, he just can't seem to figure out how to keep his nose clean and keep that meth pipe out of his mouth. So, you know, addiction's a problem. You know, it really is. It's a it's not a problem. It's a disease, is what it is. You know what I mean? And Andrew Gillum, he definitely has the disease that he can't cure. You know, he's been in the news more than once for the same issues. You know, and he's back in the news again. So, yep, Andrew Gillum. There you have it, everybody. The almost governor of Florida. He lost the election just by a little bit too. He almost won. You know, and thankfully, well, I mean, if he would have gotten elected, I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't be partaking as much as he is now, but that would have been a disgrace of the state of Florida if he would have gotten elected and then got caught with a bunch of methamphetamines in the governor mansion, which probably would have happened, to be honest with you. So that's it. Now, you know, we talk about these shootings all the time. We talk about the horrible nature of these daily shootings. And, you know, unfortunately, they do happen at schools too, you know, as we all know. And that's when it really hits home, especially if you have kids. Not that is any worse than a public shooting, you know, where multiple people die for absolutely no reason whatsoever. But for some reason, the school shootings definitely kind of hit a little bit harder. The initial shock value is a little bit more intense than when you see the other shootings in the news on a daily basis or a weekly basis whenever they do occur, because they happen way too often, you know. This school shooting, however, is a little bit different than the other school shootings that we've come to be numb to in the news reporting. This guy went to the school while the school was unoccupied by students and just killed a couple of janitors, and then of course shot himself in the head too. Yeah, as they always do, because they're cowards. So yeah, it's really strange. I don't understand why, but this happened in Chicago a couple of days ago.
Hey there, Adrena. Good morning to you. Chicago police are remaining tight-lipped exactly about what they believe led up to this shooting of two custodians, one of them a 48-year-old woman, the other a 63-year-old man, both of them found inside this elementary school with gunshot wounds to the head. And now we're hearing more over Chicago police radio exactly about what these officers and paramedics encountered once they walked inside this school.
The shooter shot himself in the head. We did 2 ambulances.
Police and paramedics responded to Mark Twain Elementary at 51st and Lotus around 3:40 yesterday afternoon. Scanner reports indicate 2 custodians were found inside with a gunshot wound to the head. Both were taken to the hospital where they died. Chicago police say a weapon was recovered inside the school, and Area 1 detectives are investigating. No students were inside at the time. In a letter to
So strange. You know, it's really weird. You know, he must have had it out for these 2 janitors for some reason. Or custodians, as they call them. I guess I'm using the politically incorrect term for the custodians. I apologize for my lack of politically correct verbiage during that previous sentence. But apparently he had it out for these 2, and he went in there and just shot them both, and then shot himself, which is strange. You know, it really is strange. I don't understand it, but you know, it is what it is. We'll figure out more as that story unfolds, and hopefully we can get a little bit more information insight as to this guy's madness and what caused him to go crazy, berserk, as some people might say, and shoot these 2 custodians in the back of the head. Let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break. We'll be back in about a minute or so, and we look forward to doing that with you as we W Energy, clean, no jitters, no crash, just focus and all natural energy. Enter the promo code Guerrilla Radio at checkout for 10% off your entire order and exclusive member discounts. W Energy, lock in, stay sharp, and dominate your day. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Guerrilla Radio Network, your daily dose. That was a brief word from our newest sponsor, W Energy. W Energy is pretty good. You know what I mean? They've got great reviews, 5 stars across the board. You get clean energy without the jitters, which is nice. So if you're into going to the gym, if you're a gamer, if you do any of that crazy, wacky stuff that the kids are doing these days, W Energy might be a good fit for you. And when you go to the checkout and you put everything in your cart, you're ready to go, enter the word Gorilla Radio under the promo code, and you'll get 10% off your entire order at checkout. W Energy, the one and only rising star in the energy business. Now, let's get back to our show. Leprosy. When's the last time you heard anything about leprosy? Let's be honest with each other. Leprosy. I know it was in the Bible, and they talked about it quite a bit. And the funny story about leprosy, not that we used to speak about it all the time when I was a kid, but, like we'd sit around the dinner table and talk about leprosy. But, the occasional leopard talk would come up every now and again. Don't ask me why, because I don't have the answer to that question. But we would discuss the effects of leprosy. And I was taught as a child completely incorrect and invalid information about the horrible disease leprosy. I was told that as a leper, when you get this so-called disease, your skin just falls off. That's what I was told as a child. So as an adult going into adulthood, I still had that image of the lepers walking around all over the place, and all of them being put onto an island, shipped to a remote island somewhere in the South Pacific. And Leper Island, we called it. That's what I was told. They shipped them all off to Leper Island, and then they got to live out the rest of their days with their skin and their limbs falling from their body as they walked around. And that was my vision, and that was my interpretation of what leprosy was up until I learned about this story, because I really still believe that as a leper, your arms and your skin just fall off for no reason. And, I had no other reason to think otherwise at the end of the day, because, we don't have leprosy, but apparently now we do, and they are rising. The leprosy cases are rising in the state of Florida. And as a straight contradiction to what I was taught as a child, your skin and your arms and your legs don't just fall off your body for no reason. Interesting. Here's a little bit from a doctor.
Right now, Central Florida is seeing an increase in leprosy cases, also known as Hansen's disease.
Researchers say it might be an endemic in the state, but it's not as common or as easily spread as we might think. West News Brevard County reporter Megan Moriarty explains why health experts say you should not panic.
A disease dating back 4,000 years is making its way through Central Florida. But what we think we know about leprosy, also known as Hansen's disease, could make it seem scarier than it actually is.
It is completely curable with the modern medication therapies that we have.
According to the CDC, leprosy was once this feared disease thought of as highly contagious and deadly, but it's actually hard to spread. Dr. Nashad Amin, Chief Medical Officer at Health First Palm Bay Hospital, explained how one might get it.
It's spread primarily by respiratory droplets, such as sneezing, coughing, with prolonged exposure. So say if somebody is infected just by sitting with them, shaking their hands, sharing meals, does not confer transmission of the infection.
That's interesting, because I was told, again, misinformed as a child, and through my adulthood, I assumed that this is how it was, that leprosy was one of the most contagious diseases on the face of the planet. And if you came into contact with anyone that had leprosy, you would absolutely contract it yourself, and you would never be able to cure it. You would be shipped off to Leper Island with the rest of the lepers to live out your days with your flesh and your limbs falling from your body onto the ground below you. So now we know better. We learned something new today, you and I, about lepers and leprosy and the horrible disease. It isn't as bad as everyone thought it was. It got a bad rap, apparently, since the days of the Bible. And here we are today celebrating the fact that it's not as bad as we once thought it was. Love you, lepers. Keep up the good work. You know what I mean? If you have leprosy, you're welcome to come into my house and have dinner with me at any time, because I now know that I don't have to worry about contracting the disease from you and having my limbs falling from their joints. Outstanding. Moving on. This guy is a real stupid criminal. I love stupid criminal stories. They are my favorite. There's a show on TV that I watch, Dumbest Criminals of All Time, and every time I see it, it just gets me. And this guy certainly will be on this show one of these days, if they're still in production for that fine television show. This guy, he was a Shake Shack employee, robbed the place with a mask and a gun, and he worked there. 2 days later, he showed up for his scheduled shift after he'd robbed the place. What a moron. This story is hilarious.
An Arizona man allegedly robbed the Shake Shack location where he worked, robbing his own coworkers before returning to the restaurant days later for a shift. Keandre Simmons has been charged with aggravated assault, kidnapping, and armed robbery, according to the Maricopa County Deputy Attorney's complaint obtained by Oxygen.com. It's unclear for now whether Simmons has retained an attorney, days after authorities allege he entered the restaurant covered up and armed with a gun, forcing the manager to open the safe and removing $2,800 in cash, per court docs reviewed by AZ Family. Simmons allegedly held 2 coworkers at gunpoint, with the employees later identifying the suspect as Simmons, citing the gunman's quote, build, hairline, voice, and mannerisms, per the outlet, and they added how the suspect seemed to know his way around the store, including the restaurant's freezer where the employees were kept for a time. Investigators arresting Simmons August 5th after he showed up to work, wearing his Shake Shack uniform, per outlet ABC 15 Arizona. A rep for the company telling Oxygen.com in a statement, quote, at Shake Shack, the safety and well-being of our team members and guests are our top priorities. We are fully cooperating with local authorities in their investigation and have reinforced security protocols.
What a complete moron. You know what I mean? So you wear a mask. Obviously, your coworkers know the sound of your voice, you know, as they would mine. I've got a pretty unmistakable voice. You know, people can hear me talking from around the corner and they know it's me. So I can only assume it's the same way with this guy. You know what I mean? So he goes in there wearing a mask, trying to disguise his face, but his voice is recognized and his mannerisms, of course, you know, because when you work with someone for quite a bit of time, you kind of learn a little bit about how they operate. And so he goes in there with a mask, robs a place, $2,800, and then leaves. 2 days later, he comes back in his Shake Shack uniform and gets arrested. What a complete idiot. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, what a moron. You know, at least go and rob a different Shake Shack, maybe the one that's down the street or around the corner. Don't rob the one you work at. You know what I mean? Obviously, everyone that's in there is going to know who you are. You know, you really didn't think this thing through. You know what I mean? You got to go rob the other Shake Shack. And then you'll be okay. You have nothing to worry about, because then you go to your Shake Shack, you clock in for your shift, you make your whatever it is they make, and you go about your business. You made $2,800 just like that. Boom, done. Bing, bang, bow. Game over. This he's definitely one of the dumbest criminals that we've talked about on this show, especially in quite some time. The big story in the news this week, and, you know, this isn't any breaking news by any stretch of the imaginations. I just wanted to touch on it just a little bit, this catering truck incident with Donnie T. So, you know, apparently, if you've been sleeping under a rock for the last few days, you haven't seen any news or information about this. Donnie T was boarding Air Force One in Turkey, leaving the NATO summit, and they have a picture of him getting into the plane, waving to the crowd as he always does, and as always the president does when getting on Air Force One for a quick photo shoot. Gets into the plane, walks into some sort of a hallway, and then, assuming, you know, everything is fine, gets in the plane, Air Force One takes off. But behind the scenes, what they didn't show you, or what we didn't know rather, is that he was being escorted from the other side of the plane off into a mobile catering truck that moved him from that Air Force One location to a different plane, which was a military plane, and took him back to the United States safely, because apparently there was some threat that intelligence uncovered about Iran, that they were going to attack Air Force One during its flight. Of course, it didn't happen, but as a security measure, they moved the president from the threat to a different location, a secret plane, basically, and flew him back to the United States safely. Now, the biggest problem about this story is, yes, of course, you know, they have to protect the president at all costs. You know what I mean? He is literally the most powerful person in the world, and he is our leader, our commander-in-chief, and he needs to be well taken care of and make sure that his well-being is preserved at all times. But everyone else was left on the plane, which is crazy. And they didn't even know, from what I understand, that there was an imposed threat on the plane heading back to the United States. So he left the plane, got onto a different plane, flew back, and left all of his companions and left all of the press and everyone that was on Air Force One to possibly die in an Iranian airstrike against Air Force One. Now, I don't think they would have been able to take the plane down if they did strike it. Apparently, they were supposed to be what they thought was a surface-to-air missile, is the intelligence that they got, that the Iranian forces were going to fire from the ground to the plane. And they probably wouldn't have been able to penetrate the plane because it does have security systems in place way far more than what we know. But they do have missile intercepting abilities aboard Air Force One that would probably pick up on that and deploy some sort of an interference to detonate the surface-to-air missile before it actually caught the plane or got the plane. But the thing that's got everybody in an uproar right now is that he left the plane, didn't tell anybody that was on the plane that it was a possible threat, and they could have possibly all died in the process. And then 2 days later, or a day later, his press secretary decided to resign from office, who apparently was aboard Air Force One as well. So we don't know. She's saying it's because of the family. She wants to spend more time with her family at home because she did just have a baby a few months ago, from what I understand. But, I'm thinking maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe she's like, well, you know what? I've been protecting Lion for your ass for the last 2 years. You know what I mean? Or a year and a half, however long it's been, because I think she's the second press secretary that he's had since this new term. I've been lying and protecting your ass for the last year and a half, making myself look like a fool to make you look better. And next thing you know, you're just going to leave me on this plane to die. Fuck you, man. I'm out of here. That's what I think happened, but we'll never know. Good possibility. It's a good conspiracy theory. You know what I mean? I like a good conspiracy theory every once in a while. It just makes you think a little bit. It does. Lastly, on our show today, because we are creeping up on the 26-minute mark, Mike Lindell, Mr. My Pillow, the lunatic that he is, running for the Republican seat for the governor race in the great state of Minnesota, has been denied the Republican vote, and he is no longer going to be the candidate. But shockingly enough, he's saying that the election was rigged. Mike Lindell, Mr. My Pillow.
So we're going to look at that, and we'll let you know in the next few days what's going to happen. I'm not going to sit by until these numbers are explained. Someone's going to have to explain to me why we were pulling 79 of these numbers came. You guys have all worked hard, and we will get a full report on this, and that you will hear it from me directly. So
I don't know who's worse, this guy or Andrew Gillum. You know what I mean? I kind of would rather have the meth smoking lunatic in the office running the state than the fucking My Pillow guy, for the love of God. You know what I mean? He literally just he sold a pillow, and he made a bunch of money on that deal, and now because of that, he's a politician, definitely a MAGA supporter, definitely a challenger of the voting system, open about that, very open, very opinionated on how he thinks that the voting system has been rigged and the election was stolen from Donald Trump in 2020. And now, of course, shockingly, he loses, and guess what? Now the election was rigged, and he's getting it too at the same time. I got nothing. Yeah, I could go on a tangent about this for a little bit, but literally, I've got absolutely nothing to talk about when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's just ludicrous. It's nonsense. Mike Lindell, Mr. My Pillow. Listen, guys, it's been a great show. It is 8:52 in the morning on August 13th. I love doing this with you guys like I do every morning, and I was looking forward to getting back behind this microphone this morning because I was unable to do it the last couple days. Go to W Energy, www.dubby.gg. That's the website. Enter the promo code Gorilla Radio at checkout for 10% off your entire order. W Energy. Follow us on all social media outlets, guys. Gorilla Radio Network on Facebook. Gorilla Radio 47 on the Instagram machine. Or you can like and follow us on YouTube at OG Gorilla Radio. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
In this smoky room, eating shrooms, drinking booze, writing tunes, and hoping to get one of these.